First thing on the business is the approval of the June minutes. Been a while since we've been here. Everybody had a chance to go through them. Any corrections or additions? If not, need a motion to accept.
I move we accept the June minutes.
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second to accept. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Unfinished business. First thing up, campground manager.
Yeah, the last time that we met, we were looking for a campground manager, and we were lucky to have Ira Worker, who has did 18 years for us in the past, came back, and Ira is running the campgrounds now, so Sheila and Ira have did plenty of programs, and things are running smooth out there, so he's interested in doing it the next season as well, so we have found somebody for the position, so.
Cool. They're enjoying it too.
They are, yes.
Okay, next thing up, amphitheater progress and fees.
Yeah, the amphitheater is moving along well. Roach is expected to finish up their portion of the project at the end of this month. When that's finished, we'll go in and put the ornamental lighting in, put the power sources to the stage, and do our grass seeding. We'd like to have a ribbon cutting in the springtime, allow everything to get established. One thing that the park board needs to look at, though, is we need to look at establishing fees for the amphitheater. We're at $26.75 right now, and I mean, it's worthy of more of that. I don't know if any of you have seen it, but it's beautiful. So that's something we need to look at, and we'd like to have that in place, as soon as possible, sometime in December probably. As Heather gets inquiries for rental, we would like to have that, so, yes. So something to think about on that.
I'm sorry, say again what the current fees are for rental?
It's $26.75, but, I mean, I think it should be comparable to, Central Park Plaza or someplace like that. I mean, we're at the same caliber, so.
It's worth it to go check it out, 'cause it's really gonna be nice. They're doing a great job down there. So think about what kind of fee structure we want, and we'll bring it back before December and get it taken care of. Okay, next thing up is Kelly Park parking lot.
Of course, we had in our budget to put a parking lot in for the sledding hill. G&G is going to start on that next Monday. So there was concerns about parking on Baker Street. So we'll get that put in, and that'll serve as the sledding hill parking lot. And then in the future, it'll look at our concept design for the whole park and also amphitheater parking. So we're happy to get that put in and get people off of Baker Street and enjoy the sledding hill. So, yep.
Where is it going to go?
The parking lot?
Yes.
Right off of Baker Street. That would be on the south side of Kelly Park. Yes. Do you remember the conceptual drawing we had in our master plan?
Mm-hmm.
That's where the parking lot is, on the
Okay.
south side. Yes. Yep.
Okay, that's it for unfinished business. New business, K-21 grant opportunity. Mayor, I believe that's you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate taking a little time to explore this a little bit further. So, over the past several years, the community, via multiple KLA white papers, the urging of K-21, have expressed the need for more outdoor recreational opportunities in the community in the wintertime. And I know you all have done a fantastic job addressing those things. Obviously, the sledding hill at Kelly Park is a great community neighborhood asset down there. And that development to do that is a wonderful addition to this community desire for more wintertime recreational activities. I know a few of you, or I know Larry, we've visited some ice skating rink facilities in other communities. We went up to Valparaiso to look at their facility that's right smack in the middle of their downtown. It's I'd call it a rather opulent facility. It's probably the Taj Mahal of skating rinks. But I know, Larry, you've been over to Headwaters Park over in Fort Wayne. I know Rich out at the K-21 has visited a few up in Michigan. We've explored the option of potentially putting in a temporary ice skating facility that you can bring in and then tear down and then bring it back in. And we talked a little bit about that. So there's been a lot of discussion, I'd say, over about the past 2 to 3 years. Again, primarily at the urging of the community and the desire of probably again, the KLA white papers, I would consider that the younger under 40 element in the community that really want things to do, as well as then the foundation, K-21 Foundation, having a real desire to get behind this. I know that you all spent time with Design Collaborative to look at such a facility down at Central Park, along with more of a year-round facility with the pavilion, outdoor pavilion covering that. I know that as you all considered that, that was somewhat of I believe it was the location, felt that it was just too much in that area, and it really was not a high priority of this board. And I feel like I agree with that. I felt like as beautiful as it was, and as much as we'd heard about having a nice skating facility in the community, that just didn't, to me, meet the need. It was just too obtrusive. Look at what other communities are doing. I know Goshen is in the process of building a facility. Mishawaka's building a facility now. South Bend is redoing the old Howard Park. Of course, Fort Wayne's got an ice skating facility as well. So, you know, K-21 board last week ago tonight pretty much made a priority. Their board made a priority to fund $1 million grant for a central skating facility somewhere in the area here. Their only real requirement is they want to make sure that it does have some year-round programming capability to it. So it's not just going out and flooding a tennis court or something and skating for a little while and that's it. They want a facility that's going to give a little bit better skating experience as far as family time, a little bit of warming in there. Nothing, I don't think anything like Valpo, because Rich went up and we saw Valpo together, and as nice as that is, you know, that's more of a regional facility that draws patrons to try and make it a money-making thing, and this is more of a again, creating outdoor recreational opportunity in the community. So with K-21 Foundation voting to grant, their board actually voted to grant $1 million for that ice facility. I felt like, I talked to Sean and Larry and felt like it was important to come back to the board with that kind of money on the table to talk about potentially, well, to update you on what the city has done to this point and just offer some chance for a little public discussion about it and see what your thoughts are. Understanding that the site, the original site, was given low priority down adjacent to the pavilion. When we started discussing the Buffalo Street project and down where the Indiana American Water property is right now, there will be a mixed-use building constructed in that area. And we thought and still think that it could, an ice skating facility could be put on that property down on North Buffalo within the just north of where Indiana and Buffalo Street have now been connected. We're in the process of having the developer and designer, along with a consultant that looks at ice skating rinks, draw that up and see how that looks on that property. I don't think we want to put anything in that doesn't fit. We're not certain what the footprint of the building, at least I'm not certain what the footprint of the building is going to look like that they're proposing, the mixed-use building. So to put an ice facility in that, there could be it could make perfect sense. The aesthetic could be good. There could be a real collaboration between that mixed-use building and the position of that ice skating facility, where there could be some, some warming area there and overlooking the facility. It could be really nice. But we're in the process of looking at that right now. And certainly, it would be designed to meet our criteria in that we're not just going to put a little, little circle, a 20-foot circle. It's going to be a facility that's going to, again, provide a good skating experience, complete with, rental skates, a little hot chocolate, and a place to warm up when you get cold. Because if folks get cold, they're not going to come back. That's the one thing we learned from Valpo is, you've got to have a good skating experience or people just aren't going to come. So the idea is that, we think we can do it right without going overboard. So that's the first thing. We're looking at putting that facility within the Buffalo Street project down by the mixed-use building. And I will tell you, we haven't made any kind of decision on that. We're really in the process of getting it drawn up now, and we're going to look and see how that looks in the grand scheme of things. The other thing I wanted to talk about was potentially another option in Central Park, maybe up around Bixler Park, close to where the boat launch is. I know that there had been some discussion about that. Potentially a pavilion, a cover on that ice up in that area. That boat launch area could be fine for parking. Nobody uses the boat launch in the wintertime when skating's available, so that property could be used. It would make sense that there could be parking up there as well as the parking at the tennis courts now. Just one thought. So Sean and I went over and looked at it, and I know Larry and I have talked about it, and I just wanted to open up a little bit of discussion with this $1 million on the table to see how you feel about potentially having a nice facility at a different location than what was originally proposed. The other thing I wanted to bring up is I know that the cost of the facility is the first big part of this. The second part is the operational maintenance of this. And I have been able to, I think we're in a really good position where there potentially could be a maintenance fund endowment that's already established that we could use for maintenance of said facility. And the endowment would be specifically for wintertime recreational use. So I think that's a big part of the consideration is that I may have that fund already established or the potential to have that established that would go a long way to providing a sustained maintenance of that facility. And I know that that's always a concern, especially with an ice facility, that there are maintenance costs, and this is something that we didn't want to get saddled with, if you will. But so I think that's what I want to say. I'm certainly would entertain any questions to the extent that I can answer them. The other thing, though, is I'd certainly like to hear your thoughts on again, with this $1 million on the table. Is it something that you think we ought to look into? So,
Anybody have anything?
Mayor, it sounds like the city is committed to having this at the Central Park location. Is there any other thoughts, any of other park locations in the city, or is that pretty much set?
I don't know that we're committed. I think the original intent, when we went up to Valparaiso, this thing was basically right at the heart of the downtown. And not having that capability to have it at the heart of the downtown, I mean, that provides a great community experience when you have that kind of activity going on in your downtown. And that was, that's, again, Valpo just really gave us the idea that you really want you think of the Rockefeller Center thing and people being downtown and getting outside and having some vibrancy in your downtown. Well, obviously, the park is, we're trying to extend our downtown to the park with the Buffalo Street project. And, that's kind of the thought is to continue to show that vibrancy in our downtown area here. Certainly, other parks could handle this, and, that would just be a decision we would all have to make together, whether or not we felt that that was the right thing to do. And I don't know that K21 has put any strings on this grant. I mean, I did talk to Rich today, and I didn't mention this, but Rich is willing to come next month and talk to you all to answer questions and explore this further. But I know that there'd been a lot of talk, there'd been a lot of movement, and they were excited enough that they're standing behind their desires with this $1 million that their board voted. So that just puts us in a position, I think, that we should discuss it and decide if we want to be a part of that. But really, to get back to your question, I don't think there are any strings. I would not say we've committed to having it at Central Park, other than it does provide, that summertime concert experience where, you get everybody down in the park. It would be, to me, maybe a more vibrant location down there. But I think that's really up to you all to make that final decision, to be quite frank with you.
And I think why I asked that question, not many, but a few people have questioned the loss of the green space, even with the existing road that's in there now. I think that was a surprise to some. Of course, we can't recover green space essentially once it's gone, but it sounds like there could be an option, maybe like you say, going over to the DNR portion or that side versus.
Right.
And I think we all had some concerns when we saw those drawings of the large space that it took next to the pavilion. It pretty much eliminated that green space. It'd be west of the existing pavilion. So.
And I certainly agreed with that decision. I felt, and again, this is a decision that, we all need to involve the community on. And I had questions about that, but that had been one of the options that was presented, and I felt it was important for you all to vet that, to see how you all felt, and it was obvious how you felt. And it probably confirmed the way a lot of other folks felt from what I heard. And I certainly did not disagree with that at all. So, yeah, I think putting it back over on the Buffalo Street side, if that can work out, that's going to be a developed area down there. And if, that might be a way to kind of transition from a building, to the lake and the boardwalk we're going to already have there. To have that skating facility out there, there'd be that recreational component that would, I think, again, kind of blend the use, the mixed use of that building with the parks and lake and so forth. So I felt that was an answer to that concern about the green space, but not knowing whether or not that's going to fit over there. We just have to wait and see what happens there. But I know there had been some discussion up north of the tennis courts around that boat launch area, and just kind of bringing that back for discussion. So.
Well, one of the questions the first ones we looked at, and I may be crazy, but it seems like we were talking close to $3 million to build the one that we were looking at, the way it was designed down there. That's a lot of difference between that and 1 million.
Yeah, I don't think the 1 million is going to cover the entire thing, but.
And second thing, you talk about maintenance and upkeep. We looked at two issues there. One was maintenance and upkeep, and then it was somebody to run it, because we don't have enough people in the parks department, I think, to spare a full-time person down there to run that, so that's another expense too,
Right.
that we would have to come up with money for.
Joe,
Mayor?
Joe, something I looked at here is, you know, Rich is about the programming in the summertime. Would he be entertained to have, I'm just looking at this without taking up green space,
Sure.
where the tennis courts are. If that was the footprint, and you had pickleball and tennis courts underneath that footprint during the summer months, and had skating in the winter months.
We have three courts now, yeah.
Yeah, I'm just looking at some place to, you know, so we wouldn't lose that green space
Sure.
but I don't know what he wants as far as, programming, you know, where he's at with that.
I think, I don't believe that, when I talked to him this afternoon, the idea is, I told him, I said, you know, we're gonna come up with what we think will work for our parks, and if that's a suggestion, I think the only thing they wanna make sure is that there's a reasonable amount of skating space. You know, we're not talking hockey, we're basically talking, you know, obviously, there's expense there with liability
Yeah.
insurance.
Yeah.
But we're really looking at a skating facility similar to what's up at Headwaters Park, maybe a little bit smaller. And, you know, if that could potentially fit on that space, I think that would be a very good solution. I guess that's why I'm here tonight, to find out what your thoughts
More
are.
about 130 by 100 there. I mean, so,
Looking at that print, if we could go to 2 tennis courts and, what, 1 or 2 pickleball courts.
Sure.
No, I mean,
just an idea.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm just
pick-
thinking green space.
I think that would be,
yeah,
we all know how popular pickleball is.
yeah, it's crazy.
I was down at the opening of the beautiful swing set, or jungle gym, or whatever. There's probably a much better word for it than that, but it was a wonderful, and there was about, 40 people over there fighting to get on the pickleball courts in less than an hour after they'd been opened. So pickleball is obviously important, and, you know, that would be a great, the one thing he expressed to me today was that they want year-round usage of that facility. And be it a pavilion to hold a picnic in, or covered pickleball courts, I don't know that that would be problematic. Again, I think it's what we decide we want to do, and then make the decision if that's a possibility. Then obviously we can talk to the foundation and see if it meets what they're looking for. But I think their main thing is year-round use and a facility that's, you know, again, not just a little skating ribbon or a small, they want something where families can enjoy that.
Larry, where you're talking, isn't there also, there's parking by the tennis courts, those?
There's about 30 parking spots for the
30?
tennis courts right now, but, I mean, there could be, I mean, you could
Well,
get
you're
some
close to
additional
the
there,
other,
but.
the other parking lot behind the
So
gas
there is
station
parking
there
right
too,
there.
yeah.
And it could be, I mean, I'm just thinking outside the box here. I mean, it could be tennis courts and pickleball, but there could be weekends where those collapse and you have farmer's market in there or
Sure.
something like that. I mean, special events, but I'm just trying to look at a spot where we're not taking a bunch of green space up and throwing it out there. But that's all up to you guys.
Yeah, like Larry said, once you lose it, it's lost, it's gone.
Mayor, is there a shelf life on this $1 million grant that they've expressed?
That's a question for Rich. I mean, they voted, he suggested there might be other entities that are interested. But, you know, I just told him, I said, you know, we're not interested in getting into a competition. This is something we've been talking about for several years, and I think we could potentially put forth a few options and vet them with K-21. But I don't think if Rich was standing here today, he would say that there's a shelf life on it. But as a responsible grant administrator, I'm sure that in his mind, it probably is. So, that's a good question.
Well, if he's willing to come next month, I guess, be a thing to do.
Yeah. I just wanted to ask that you consider it. You know, I'd mentioned that area up by the boat launch just as an option. It was just a way of trying to reopen the discussion. I had thought about the tennis courts, but I know when Sean and I went over there, you know, the tennis courts are used quite a bit.
Yeah.
And gosh, if there's a way to do both, that could be a real win-win. Larry, is there space there between where the tennis courts are and the gas station, or does the Biblical Garden stick out in between there?
There's a little back gate that sticks out a little bit right there, but I think there's room even to the lakeside, all the way to Kitty Land there. That little basketball court, I mean, that wouldn't have to be there. I mean, there's
Right.
room there. Yeah, but the Biblical does tie from 15 all the way to Kitty Land.
From 15, yeah, okay,
Yeah.
all right. So that's what I've got, and I just, again, appreciate your consideration on it. Again, I think it's important with $1 million on the table that we at least look at it. And if there's a better location, I defer to you all, because I think you made the right decision the last time. I understand the importance of the green space preservation, but there's also a real opportunity here to make some things happen. And kind of go back to you, Steve, I know $1 million would probably not cover the cost, but many have expressed interest in supporting this as well.
Okay,
Kind of the way we've been thought about this is our bigger issue is the operation of it.
right.
And with that maintenance endowment, I think that goes a long way to addressing a lot of that. But I think there are potential grant opportunities in addition to that $1 million that's on the table now that could potentially, and I don't even want to venture to guess what this would cost. You know, I thought somewhere between 2 and 3. But again, it just depends on what you're going to do.
Well, the one we were gonna, the plans we looked at down there were really nice.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, there's obviously room we could, you know, without making it look bad or anything, we could cut back here and there and
Sure.
maybe not be as fancy, but I think one of the big things is making sure the cooling unit's in the pavement, so we don't have to tear pipes up and put them back down, and especially when you're trying to do Christmas lights at the same time. You gotta keep the Christmas lights going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yep, well, I'd
Okay.
say get Rich to the next meeting and
Yeah, we'll get him back, and,
Yeah.
and I would appreciate you all exploring potentially that option, so that if maybe you come up with a conceptual thought, you know, you could ask him some questions as
Yeah.
well about,
yeah.
And by all means, if y'all want to come down and meet me over there or look at things, I mean, just come, let me know.
I was gonna
Yeah.
say too, if Rich wants to meet before that and go over this, we've met with him before.
I think that's probably a good idea.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm sure he'd be minimal. He was at a conference, and, I mean, I just found out about this a week ago,
yeah,
and noting that there may be a little bit of others that are considering this, I thought it was important to get it in front of you all
Yep.
as soon as possible to start thinking about it. And then, I don't think it would hurt at all between now and next month to meet with Rich, if any of you want to get involved with that, especially if you all come up with what you think might be an option. Sit down with Rich and talk a little bit about it.
sounds good.
Okay,
Larry, if you set something up with Rich, will you let us know so that we can kind of put eyes on the location too when you're
Yeah.
talking about things?
Yeah, absolutely.
So that
Yeah,
would be
yeah, we'll
great.
try to set something.
yeah, I don't want to suggest that we meet outside of the meeting. I mean, we still need to have that public
Right.
meeting here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But if Rich has some questions, and maybe you can vet it with Rich, and then you all can just go down and kind
Yeah.
of see what's going
Yep.
on, what they're talking
Yep.
about, so.
sounds
Okay,
good.
thank you very much, I appreciate your
you.
time. All
Thank
right.
you.
Okay, next item, park office temporary location.
Yeah, we're at Pete Thorne Center, 800 North Park Avenue. So we're pretty much all moved in and trying to get the mail to come to the right spot. But
We're all hoping that.
in the anticipation of the multi-use building, so that's where we're going to be at until we get the pavilion going. So that's where we are. So,
Okay. Maintenance report.
Yeah, so since we last met, we built a playground, pretty big one.
It's more than a swing set.
It's more than a swing set. We had a ribbon cutting for it, actually the same day as the ribbon cutting for the pickleball tennis courts. There was a big turnout. I took my family out the following day, and there were 25 other kids there when we left at noon on Saturday. And most of them had walked from the neighborhoods down there, so I think it's a really good addition for the neighborhoods at the south end of town. It turned out beautiful. We're finishing up a little bit of grade work on the outside of it, getting some grass seed planted, and hopefully by spring it'll be beautiful out there. We've been getting ready to gear up for fall. We're going to gradually start thinning out tables in the parks. The beginning of October, we'll start blowing out water lines, et cetera, closing down restrooms and stuff. And then we've already started checking some Christmas lights.
Can't wait.
Yeah. So that's about all I got, though.
Thank you, sir. Next up, Manus relocation.
we'll let Sheila handle that.
Long time no see, guys. So we have entered into a contract with American Ramp Company to put together a conceptual design for the relocation of Mantis Skate Park. If you remember back to master plan talks as well as the stellar plan, this was one of the things that was in both of those, to move down to Richardson Du Bois from Boggs. Everything else at Richardson Du Bois has already been replaced. The shelter, the playground, the new restroom building, everything else there is done. We're just missing this one key part that was in that plan. So this is just to get the ball rolling, get kind of a dollar amount attached to what this project is gonna cost, so that then we can start looking at funding.
Okay.
Okay? See if I have any
While you're
questions.
there,
While I'm here.
recreation report.
All right, moving on. So a lot's happened in my world since I saw you last in June. All of our concerts, our summer events and programs are done. We have added quite a few fall and winter programs, so we've still got a lot coming up, a lot going on, but all the summer stuff is pretty much finished up. The skate park has a week and a half left, if you can believe that. All of my summer rec staff is done, other than those couple skate park people. I'm getting ready to start working on sponsorship guides that I send out in mid-October, and then next month I'll start looking at concert acts already. So that's kind of what I'm doing. We do have some fun events coming up. Stephanie, my assistant, and I did become Safe Sitter certified last winter, and we have a couple of classes coming up for that. Our Fall Family Fun event is next month. And we have 2 new events this fall that we're really excited about, fall and winter. We're doing a gingerbread house workshop in November, where you can come with your family for one fee just to buy the kit, and we keep the mess, you build the gingerbread house and take it home with you. And as a mother of 2 little girls, I would be super excited to go do that somewhere other than in my house. And then the other one that we have coming up is Family Game Night, and we are partnering with Warsaw Library for that. They're gonna bring some board games and some of their games. We have a lot of like life-size games that we're gonna bring out. We're gonna do it in the Pete Thorne Center gym. And you come, it's free. We're gonna have popcorn and play all the games you wanna play. So we're pretty excited about that too. Mark your calendars for Light Up the Night. It's December 6th. You guys are always wonderful about coming and helping hand out the glow necklaces and stuff for that. So I really appreciate that if you're available.
Say
I
the
think-
date again.
It is Friday, December 6th.
Thank you.
Yep. I think that's about all I've got.
Very good. Thank you.
Question for you.
Yeah.
Was there any feedback from not having the lifeguards at the beaches this summer?
I personally haven't had much feedback at all,
No.
negative
No.
feedback.
And the beaches at Pike Lake still look, there were a lot of people down there using
Yes.
the beach. A lot
Yes,
of
there was.
swimmers. Yeah.
While
Both
we're
lakes.
touching on that subject, our insurance company they had a little issue with it as far as guards not being present. So they've asked us to remove the diving boards, so we don't have diving boards, and to put signs up saying to not jump or swim off the pier when lifeguards are not present. So that's what we've did.
Is that doable?
We did, yeah, so,
The signs are.
Yeah.
Yeah, signs.
so.
All right, thank you. Okay, takes us to other matters.
I don't have anything else, Steve.
Okay.
Anybody else, anything?
Nobody has that, wow, quick meeting.
I've
Okay,
got a
meeting,
comment if you're almost done.
okay,
I don't know how much of you know about pickleball, but I went, and Sean went down with me because of the so-called grand opening. I've never seen so many smiling faces. Dave Wiedenbrenner, who I think he kinds of run that thing. He said they have 57 members, family comes, they have over 100, they expect 200 soon. That place is packed, and it's this big success,
It's,
as far as they're
uh,
concerned, but I think it is. And I just want to let you know, I didn't even know what a pickleball was till somebody told me pickle was a dog.
every
That's how
time
it got
an
its
article
name.
comes out about it, somebody calls them, what is pickleball? You know,
Well,
everybody
his name
wants
is
to know.
for Pickle. Their dog was Pickle and they decided to play. And I guess the husband said, what shall we call it, dear? And she said, well, not pickleball. Pickle.
It's fastest growing sport in the United States.
Well, they're doing really well. It's very successful. If anybody wants to know. Even Sean and I were impressed, weren't we? We wouldn't play though.
Well, they got a first-rate facility to play it on now,
Yeah,
so.
sure do.
Yeah, it looks beautiful.
And maybe
Yeah.
some more, who knows?
Yeah,
Meeting
That's all.
review.
Yep.
I think the big thing we need to take away is keep our eyes open for a place for an ice skating rink.
yeah.
I think that's gonna get done.
My yard's available.
Yeah, is it big enough?
Yes.
Yeah, give it some good thought and come back
Yeah.
and be ready for some good discussion next meeting, yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Nobody has anything else? Take a motion to adjourn?
I do. Go ahead.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We're done. Thank you.
Thank you.
No? Take that one with you.
I got more than that. I can't find my one of these.
It's yours so that you can charge